Chapter 17 of Ruth Fielding at the War Front. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Ruth Fielding at the War Front by Alice B. Emerson. The worst is told. "But Major Marchand, what of him?" Ruth asked, deeply interested in what the Countess had said. "He, too, is in the secret work," responded the Countess, smiling faintly. "My older son claimed the right of undertaking the more perilous task. Likewise, he was the more familiar with the vicinity of our summer estate at Meuse, having been there often with his father." "But Major Henri goes back and forth along the front, both by flying machine and in other ways?" Ruth asked. "I'm sure I've seen him." She wanted to tell the Countess how she had misjudged the Major, but she hesitated. There was the matter of Nico, the chocolate peddler, and the man who looked like him. Could that disguised man have been the Major? And if so, what was his interest in the German officer who had so suddenly died in the field hospital, the occupant of Cot 24, Hut H? The girl's mind was still in a whirl. Had she called Lefrain to the front for nothing at all? Had she really been stirring up a mare's nest? She listened, however, to the Countess's further observations. "But yes, mademoiselle, we all do what we may. My sons are hard at work for la patrie." "And brave Boo Boo," and she laughed. "Of course, your American soldiers cannot be expected to take over the scouting on this front, not altogether, for they do not know the country as do we French. Yet some of your young men, Henri tells me, show marvelous adaptability in the work. Is it the Red Indian blood in them, think you, that makes them so proficient in scouting?" she added innocently. But Ruth did not laugh. Indeed, she felt very serious, for she was thinking of Tom Cameron. Major Henri Marchand must know about Tom, where he was and what he was doing. That is, if it had been the Major who had dropped the message from Tom at her feet the day before. She could not discuss this matter with the Countess, and yet the girl was so troubled regarding Tom's affair that she felt equal to almost any reckless attempt to gain information about him. Before the girl could decide to speak, however, there was a step upon the bare floor of the great entrance hall of the chateau. The ringing step came nearer, and the Countess raised her head. "Henri, come in," she cried as the door opened. Major Marchand marched into the room breezily, still in the dress uniform Ruth had seen at Aunt Abelard's cottage. "Ah, mademoiselle," he cried, having kissed his mother's hand, and suddenly beholding the girl who had shyly retired to the other side of the hearth. "May I greet you?" He came around the tea-table and took her hand. She did not withdraw it abruptly this time as he pressed his lips respectfully to her fingers, but she did blush under his admiring glance. "See, Henri," his mother cried, "it is the good Boo Boo who has brought it, in code. Can you read it?" She thrust the wisp of paper, taken from the dog's hollow tooth, under his eyes before pouring his cup of tea. Henri, begging Ruth's indulgence with a look, sat down before the table, his sword clanking. He smoothed the paper out upon the board and drew the reading-glass to him. "Wait, Countess," Marchand said. "You have had no luncheon. You are hungry, my dear boy?" She hurried out of the room, intent upon her son's comfort. Ruth watched the countenance of the Major as he read the code message. She saw his expression become both serious and troubled. Suddenly he turned in his chair and looked at the American girl. His gaze seemed significant, and Ruth began to tremble. "Mademoiselle?" "Yes, monsieur?" "You have questions to ask me, hein?" "It is true, Major Marchand," she murmured, struggling for self-control. "I am eaten up by curiosity." "Is it only curiosity that troubles you, mademoiselle?" he said dryly. No, I am seriously alarmed. I am anxious for a friend." Her voice was tense. "You received a certain message?" he asked. "Oh, yes, Major Marchand, and that excites me," she replied, more calmly now. "Was it really you who dropped the paper bomb at my feet?" His eyes danced for a moment. "That was entirely what you call by chance. Mademoiselle, I spied you, and having the written message of your friend, I inserted it in the bomb, twisted the neck of it, and let it fall at your feet. You are, of course, acquainted with Lieutenant Cameron." "He is the twin brother of my dearest friend," Ruth replied. "Helen is in Paris, helping make soup for French orphans," and she smiled. "Something that I've heard has worried me vastly about Tom." Her smile disappeared, and her gaze at the French major was pleading. His own countenance again fell into serious lines, and he tapped the table thoughtfully. Ruth clasped her hands as she waited. She felt that something untoward was about to be made known to her. There was something about Tom which would shock her. "I'm sorry, mademoiselle," murmured the major. "Here is something said about Lieutenant Cameron." "In that message Boo brought?" she asked slowly. "Yes, it is from my brother. Did you know that Lieutenant Cameron was working with the Count Marchand in Germany?" "Oh, I did not know it until lately. There are such stories afloat." "Ah," he smiled and nodded understandingly. "Do not let those idle tales annoy you. Lieutenant Cameron is a very able and a very honorable young man. He volunteered for the dangerous service. Of course his comrades could not be told the truth, and it chanced he was observed speaking to one of our agents who came from the German side. At once it was decided that he would do well in the area of Meuse, where Count Marchand is in command. You understand? Lieutenant Cameron's comrades were given the wrong impression. Otherwise, knowledge that he was a scout might have been easily discovered by German spies in this sector. Your friend speaks perfect German." "Yes," Ruth said. "He began to prattle to Babette, his German-Swiss nurse, when he was a child. So he has been of much help to us near Meuse. But my brother informs me that a serious difficulty has arisen." "What is it, Major Marchand?" asked the girl with tightening lips. "Lieutenant Cameron has been arrested. He is suspected by the Germans at Meuse. He was furnished the papers and uniforms of a Bavarian captain. The authorities are making an investigation. It may, I am desolated to say, mademoiselle, become fatal for Lieutenant Cameron." End of chapter 17.